Hello. It's good to be here, and thank you all for coming, and nice of you to come. And thank you, Nick and Joseph, for your wonderful hospitality. I really appreciate that. Okay. The title of my talk today is Gratitude and the I Am God attitude. Healing the whole world. My job description is preacher of the end of history or kingdom come now. This is fully explained in my book, The Jedi Handbook of Global Education. Or global God realization, whatever. And what it is essentially is a toolkit for transforming the world and ourselves. It's based on cutting edge science, quantum physics, transpersonal psychology, philosophy, and our spiritual traditions. And it contains solutions for the world's major problems, such as war, terrorism, greed, and relationships, which is pretty much, some would say, our most difficult problem. And in the book, we offer the solution to be our androgynous self. That's the word, androgynous self. And the other solution is eventually we're coming into what's called theogony, which means the marriage of the gods. Okay, now this talk and all that I've been doing the past 30 years or such is based on a powerful experience I had in the 1970s when I was at Queens College. And it was a result of my immersing myself in Hegel's major work on absolute knowledge. And amazing things happened. I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but I was straddling both sides. For 3 months, I was out of my body. I was not eating or sleeping for 3 months. I guess you could say I died, lost my ego, whatever you want to call it, and I met several Eastern and Western teachers. The first night this happened, Hegel, the author of his book, of the Phenomenology, walked into the room. He was in the flesh. And he knelt down and put his arm around me. And Schelling, his teacher, came in the room also. And he was in the flesh too. It was incredible. It's hard to believe this, but this is what happened. And then the next few days, some Eastern masters appeared. Meher Baba, who was the guru of my sister, and Babaji, Yogananda's Babaji. And lastly, Jesus. Jesus appeared to me in the flesh. He put his hands on my face. I wasn't even a Christian at this time, you know. And it was really, it was mind-blowing. And dipping into the Akashic records, and et cetera, et cetera. Some other time I'll go into that. So, well, let me see, all this stuff is coming up. The second day, I remember sitting on my couch, my living room couch, and I was just sitting there doing this, you know, with my index finger pointed upward, okay? Which summarized what the experience was. I mean, I was one with with God, what we call God, the infinite, the whole, okay? And then I recall my sister-in-law came into the living room and she said, one what? You know? And you get a chuckle after that. And it was, for hours I was sitting there just like this, holding my index finger up, one. And that summarizes the talk, and that's what we need in the world today, this unity of all of us. And that's the healing of the planet. which I wrote this book to help advance. So, yeah, also when I was in this state, I was trying to communicate to my friends, the people around me, what was going on. And this, I repeated this statement over and over again. There is only one consciousness. There is only one consciousness. Okay? All right, so what I'm going to do today is offer you several tools from this toolkit I put together, which took me 35 years. And hopefully they'll help us to deepen our gratitude and love and realize our oneness, our present oneness with God, what we call God, the infinite being. In philosophy we call it being, etc. Okay, first, gratitude and the I am God attitude. Now you might say, this sounds like a contradiction, right? How could there be gratitude when you say I am God? Okay, think about that. Well, let's look at this. Well, obviously there's no gratitude. If you say I am God, where's the gratitude? But look at the opposite. I am not God. Okay, that's no good because it means separation. And we just sang the song, there is no separation. Okay, so that's no good either. So there must be some middle way. And there is. The middle way is this. When you say I am God, the I that is speaking is not you, your personal particular self or ego, it's God. Okay? It's God who's saying, I am God. So this is really a powerful method for realizing your present unity with God 24/7 by repeating the I am God mantra or meditation. And in fact, this is, some of my teachers say, this is how Jesus Christ realized his Godhood or unity with God. As you look through the Scriptures, New Testament, he says things like, the words that I'm speaking are not mine. They're the Father's, the I am. Okay? And and then in, was it the Old Testament, Isaiah says, you are the temple of God. You are the temple of the I am that I am. Okay? And the Father in me, he doeth the works, or the miracle. I'm not doing anything. The I am is doing the works. Okay? So that's the important thing. And while I'm on this, something just came up. I'll share this with you. This I got from a colleague of mine last year. And it has to do with the true meaning of the most powerful parable of Jesus, which is that of the sower sowing the seed. Okay. So after he speaks to the multitude, he takes his disciples aside and he tells them, the seed is the word. Okay, the word. Then the question becomes, what is the word? Now this is incredible. I never realized this before. And it shines light on all of Jesus' statements. If you go to the Gospel of John, what's the beginning statement? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Okay, so the Word is God. What does that mean? It means the seed is a God seed. Okay, now put it all together. When you plant, what is it? An apple seed. What comes up? An apple. So when you plant the God seed, the word in your heart, what gets produced? God or gods. Okay, so that's the secret of the whole thing, which I think is incredible. Just to focus on that and meditate on that. Let's see. Okay, let me see. Okay, the word gratitude, of course, this came to me recently. Thank you. And somebody, I don't know who did this on the flyer for this lecture, or this month, Meister Eckhart, brilliant teacher, mystic from the Middle Ages, apparently, I didn't know he said this, but if you say no other prayer in this lifetime, then thank you, that is sufficient. And I said, why is that? Because when you say thank you, you're acknowledging that you're not sufficient to yourself. Okay, you're not complete independent in your separate ego or self. And there's a resistance, if you notice, whenever you say thank you to someone, if you really mean it. Okay, because it shows you're dependent on other people. You're not sufficient unto yourself. You need others, okay? And so when the other becomes God, then the level of gratitude and the dissolution of the ego becomes infinite. And that's what's behind this. Of course, God really is not an other. God is an other to the ego, the separate self, but not to the true self, since there is nothing but God or the infinite, the one infinite. All right, let me move on to the second tool, which involves the second part of my title, which is, well, how to heal the whole world. Very powerful. This is in my book, and it has to do with what I like to call the God mandala. The God mandala. Okay? This is the essence of all the Tibetan mandalas. And it's a circle with a point in the center. Okay? The circle represents reality or what is, which is God. And the point is the way into that circle. And as quantum physics and cutting-edge science is realizing, God is coming to be understood as consciousness. Okay, so God and consciousness are the same thing ultimately, which is the true meaning behind the Tetragrammaton, the ayer, asher, ahayer, the I am that I am. And it's we could spend a lot of time in this, but we don't have to. For example, I am, for example, Descartes, I think, therefore I am. We have the truth expressed as the unity of consciousness and being, okay? I am. We have the same thing in the Vedas, Satchidananda. We have Sat is being, Chit is consciousness. Total bliss is realizing the unity of consciousness and being. And of course, that's the name of Moses as God, the I am that I am. Okay, so how do we heal the planet? Okay, well, as it's coming out in quantum physics, it turns out that we're all connected. There is only one consciousness, and consciousness is non-local. That means it's not confined to your brain or your skull or any particular place. It has infinite extent or expansion. And that's the meaning of the point. So what's behind this is that new thought. Okay, the key is that your thought is incredibly powerful. Right now, you're connected to everybody on the planet just by your thought. Thought is non-local. So when you have a thought, and you think about what's going on in Paris or Syria or Mali, what have you, you can actually affect the consciousness that is in that location in the world. Okay? You can actually speak healing, life, unity, go to, what is it called, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and you could actually literally begin to heal that group who are totally misguided, living in their ego selves, totally separate from God, okay? So what you do, this is what you can do. You take the God mandala, the circle, each morning you wake up and you step into the circle, okay? At this point, you're connected to to 7 billion souls on the planet. You're connected to everybody. So you go through the day and you monitor your thoughts, okay? Don't think negative thoughts at all, as Spinoza and other philosophers say. Positive thoughts, like your aunt in California, she's going through chemotherapy or some problem. You visualize her and say, you are healed. I speak healing over you. Say a prayer, whatever it is. and it goes right to her and it does the job. It actually heals. They've been doing studies at Yale and Harvard which confirms this. You may know about these studies. Consciousness is non-local, thought is non-local. We're all connected. We're all, if you will, we all live in this, we all inhabit this single point. We use the word point because a point has no extension, no length, depth, or width, okay? Just like consciousness, okay? It's in a totally different realm than the physical realm. All right, so that's how you heal the world. You realize that we're all connected. We all inhabit the same one consciousness in the same one point, which is outside space and time. This is the key. In philosophy, it's called transcendental or a priori. And that's what we have to really understand. So that's how it's done. You wake up in the morning and you don't leave the mandala facing you. You actually draw it and you step into it, okay? And you become aware of your connection with everybody and that you have the power and ability to heal the world all throughout the day by focusing on whatever comes up, the newspaper, massacres in Paris and in Mali, whatever it is, and your own loved ones, relatives, anything that happens, you could actually change the situation and heal the planet that way. Another thing that's connected to this is I'm reminded of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6:10, where it is said, to achieve unity, this is very important, you must constantly practice one-pointedness. And the key word is constantly. So, in other words, if we really mean business and want to heal the planet, we have to do our spiritual practice, whatever it is, 24/7, 365. I know that's hard for some of you to bear, but you can do it. It is possible. It is possible. And that's the only way. Jesus said the same thing. If you continue in my word, you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Of course, what is the truth? Is your absolutely present unity with God. I and the Father are one, so are you. That's the Eucharist, but it's been misunderstood for many years. That our present oneness with God, the infinite, whatever you like to call it, is the truth. So if you continue in the Word, the God seed, your unity with God, in whatever form it takes, whatever your spiritual practice is, that will result in you experiencing the truth. But you have to be on it. You have to do it 24/7, 365. That's the important thing. And lastly, I'll share this with you. This is, this is beautiful. This is, I've come to call it stop action animation. Okay? And it's a way to remind us that we're living in eternity, that we're living in the eternal now or the eternal present. This is very important. Ultimately, again, all that exists is this one indivisible eternal consciousness, which we all share and are. This one consciousness. So, this one consciousness without past or future, before or after. As Schrodinger and others say, Einstein. The distinction between past, present, and future is only an illusion. And Schrodinger says, the present is the only thing that has no end. So really, and of course, Eckhart Tolle became famous by the power of now. And that's so important. We have to learn how to live in the present, in the eternal now. Okay? And this method, stop action animation, helps us to do this. What does it mean? I'll give you an example. One will suffice. You're thirsty, you just finished your taxes and homework, whatever it is, shopping list. Gee, I want some orange juice, right? You go to the refrigerator, you open the door, and you reach in for the orange juice. Then you stop. You stop your action. And you hold that for about 10 seconds, 20, 30. And you remind yourself that you're living in the eternal now, or eternity. And as you're doing that, you could actually look around and you'll notice things differently that you never noticed before. You know, little things, colors, shapes, okay? And you begin to feel the eternal now, or eternity, you see? And then you complete the action. And you could do this with many, many things. When you're eating your meal, you could try this, you know? You dig into something and you're eating like that, and then you stop and you look at your fork and the food on the fork. You say, very interesting. What is that? You know, you look at it, you notice things. Wow, okay. And then you complete the action. You know? So all of this, these little exercises help you to remind yourself that you're living in it, because especially us Westerners, we're totally caught up in time. Yes? Totally caught up, and the watches are really what do it. If you look at the present, it's gone before you look at it. It's like the second hand just zips by, and there is no present whatsoever. We're always like on this rat race, you know. We're running. You know, it's a lie, and it's killing us. It's the cause of stress, and you know, they know that all the major diseases are a result of stress. You know, so you could eliminate diseases and heal yourself just by learning how to live more and more in the now, in eternity, in the present. And that's where God lives. In fact, some say that God is the present. God is the gift, the present, which is beautiful. And yeah, it's incredible to develop that. It's so important. But it's really only going to work if you do this, you practice this 24/7. As soon as you wake up, you put yourself in the circle of consciousness and God, and you begin to live your whole day in that circle, connected to everybody on the planet and healing them. So that is stop action. Animation, you animate the present moment, okay? And you realize your unity with it, and you realize that time is an illusion. There's no such thing as time. It's phenomenal or psychological. Just the eternal now, which is one and the same as God. Okay, so I believe that these tools that I've shared with you will help you to deepen your gratitude and love, and help you to realize your present unity with God. Thank you. Namaste. Namaste.